The Hansen Research Station, in collaboration with Southwestern Adventist University, is developing a world-class paleontology site. There are dinosaurs here in such abundance that they're not equaled in many places in North America.
One of the gifts that God has given this family is, in our ranch we have a lot of dinosaur bones, and when we were little we used to pick them up and bring them home and show Mom and Dad and say, "Look at this is neat, I wonder what this is from," and keep them in our underwear drawer with all of our other treasures. Well, several years ago my dad had some paleontologists come out and start excavating the dinosaur bones, and he was pleased that we were using the bones for science.
We had a paleontologist here that was an evolutionist, and he was teaching a lot of little kids what amounted to evolution, and I don't believe in evolution, so we kind of parted company. But we're happy now that we got somebody that believes in creation.
Aside from that, it's nice to have them out here in God's country, enjoying creation with us.
The experience of being out here is hard to describe. It's something that has to be experienced. The wilderness area where the only sound is birds, the wilds of these badlands, the quiet and peace, our field station, which allows us to have accommodations, the people that we work with, many of whom have given several years to this project and are deeply involved in it themselves. All of these things together make this an unforgettable experience.
Being out here in the middle of Wyoming with all this awesome beauty out here, it's just amazing.
The peace here, the birds waking us up in the morning, the sunshine, the hard times too, bring us all together as a group, a family group.
The first people that came in here and even looked was in 1947, and they didn't look much here. They took a dinosaur out over at Zerps, and they did take a turtle out down there by my brother's homestead shack, but they didn't really look around much.
I am just so pleased that we have a team that has come to do some excellent science and find out why the bones are here with not a preconceived notion of why they're here. They aren't set out to prove a point. They're here to find out what the bones say. A team that we can trust to, that we don't have to take an inventory before they come and after they leave. We can trust them. They have been very respectful, and they're like members of our family.
This is one of the most spectacular fossil sites in the world, and it's just full of dinosaur fossils. Mostly hadrosaurs, the duck-billed dinosaur, 30 to 40 foot long behemoth. There also are fossils of Tyrannosaurus rex, Pachycephalosaurus, and Triceratops, three of the most popular dinosaurs. We are engaged in a project here in which we hope to be able to come to an understanding of the fate of the dinosaurs, but that's of interest to us scientifically, and in the process of doing that we're also very interested in affecting people's lives. And so we bring out to this site individuals who are teachers or students.
I really believe it makes me a better teacher, because I can share with my students the excitement of discovery. We have done a PowerPoint presentation that I show my kids every year, and if I could bring them, they would all come with me. They're sure there must be a way they can all come. But more importantly, I believe that I've been able to gain information that helps me to help them understand what God has done for us here, that He has preserved these marvelous things for us to dig up and to study, and to share that with them, that the Bible is true, that there was a flood, and to share that with them and get them enthused, and to know that we as Christians have nothing to be afraid of in scientific arguments about the beginning of the world and the Creator God that we worship.
We are not here to prove or disprove anything about a philosophy. We're here to try to come to an understanding of a problem in science. To do this, we use any methods we can within the scope of science. And we try to do science at its best. We have innovated in a number of different ways, techniques, and our approach to this whole problem is unique.
With the use of the satellites to help us measure and determine where these bones are, we're of course using the outcome of the space age to determine basic science about these animals that lived a long time ago. I like to think that we're using rocket science to help us study rock science.
And we share with them our philosophy about origins and give them an opportunity to understand that creation is not something that's necessarily based on science. It's a philosophy that is based on our acceptance of Scripture.
One of the founding aims of the Hansen Research Station as it has progressed, and one of the goals of Glenn Hansen, who was the ranch owner, was to emphasize the relationship between science and religion. So we teach here a Christ-centered, God-centered, creation flood type of science as we do our investigations.
This project is an exciting project for me because it is a chance to do some real basic scientific research, even though it's not in my area of education. And that's another exciting aspect too, the interdisciplinary subject team that we have here allows a lot of good discussion and interaction and learning. I think every participant not only learns but also contributes to the whole project.
I came here to take this as a college course, and what I've enjoyed about this is that we have been exposed to a lot of different sciences. Of course, the dinosaurs, because that's what we're here to do, is to dig dinosaur bones. But we have also been exposed to astrophysics by Dr. Turner, and the geologic column, and rocks and minerals. So it's been a wide experience.
Here we're trying to study all different aspects of science. We have taphonomy, which is the science of how things got to be deposited here. How come we have a world-class site here? Why are there so many dinosaurs here and not everywhere else in the world?
We have come here for the last 6 or 7 years working in this area on these dinosaur bones with the hope that we could understand what happened to the dinosaurs. We have on this site a number of different species of dinosaurs, including
big meat eaters, the tyrannosaurids. There are big plant eaters. We have the two big plant eaters, mostly the ceratops, triceratops probably, and the hadrosaur Edmontosaurus. We have the head-butting ram type dinosaur called Pachycephalosaurus. But we're also finding lots of neat little small stuff. We found several different types of alligator, possibly some bird material, possibly some struthomimids, the ostrich mimic type dinosaurs, or ornithomimids. So we have quite a variety of dinosaur and non-dinosaur types represented in the sediments here.
This is a world-class site. There's no question about it. The number of bones that we're finding per square meter is in excess of 10 or more, which is a tremendous number of bones. We will this year be able to get an idea, a rough estimate of how many total bones are buried in this site using the advanced computerized techniques that we work with on this site. Our team consists of Dr. Larry Turner, who's an astrophysicist. And some might wonder why an astrophysicist digging up dinosaur bones? Dr. Turner brings to this project new insights and organization skills and clear thinking about the whole project. And it's because of his presence here that we developed a technology that we're now bringing to the scientific community, involving the use of satellites to locate the bones and to identify their positions so that we can develop in the computer a map of the quarry site.
Since the 2000s season, we've been using satellite-based GPS systems. It's high-precision surveying equipment that allows us to measure the location of the bones.
When we find a bone in the ground, a small fragment of a bone, a large bone, a tendon, a tooth, we bring in the GPS equipment and we locate the bone in 3 space. The GPS data points can then be transferred to a computer where they can be displayed in 3 dimensions on the screen. And here you can see, for example, an array from a femur that were taken using the GPS equipment. We then take a photograph of the bone and extract the bone from the photograph, and in the computer we can overlay the 2-dimensional bone upon the 3-dimensional array of points and get a pseudo 3-dimensional image of that bone. That bone then lies in space where it actually lay in the quarry, and so it lies in register with other bones that have been found at the same location. All of these bones then make up a 3-dimensional reconstruction of the entire quarry. And this data can be accumulated from year to year so that the entire history of the data in that particular quarry can be reconstructed in the computer, and we can see the bones the way they actually lay in the ground with the dirt removed. And this was one of our main goals in starting out, was the desire to be able to see what the bones look like without the dirt. Then the bone is carefully cleaned in sight, and depending upon its size and other circumstances, it's removed from the ground. In some cases, we have to cast the bones.
What we have now is a rib that's been exposed, and we've gone down on either side of it to give us a pedestal of dirt. Patty's undercutting it now so that we can wrap aluminum foil and then plaster of Paris around the bone so that the bone is in here, and we've cupped it on all sides. Let that dry, then we'll cut the dirt underneath and flip it over, and then finish encasing it in plaster. This will protect the bone so that we can take it back to the laboratory.
When the bones arrive back in the laboratory, we can begin processing them. This involves removing the external casts that we may have put on in the field, and this is done from the bottom so that the part of the bone that wasn't seen in the field is now exposed by carefully removing the dirt. Once we get down to the bone surface on the bottom, we can do what reconstruction we have to and repair using cyanacrylate glues. We can bond the bone back together in a form that's equivalent to what it would have looked like when it was buried. After this cleaning process is complete and the bone is now exposed and cleaned, we label the bone, and then we enter into the computer information about the bone, where it was recovered, who did the recovery and who cleaned it, and the number of the bone, along with photographs, so that we have a complete record in the computer on the internet of every bone that we've recovered. These bones are then taken to the storage area where they are carefully placed into cabinets or on shelves, and the position of the bone in the collection is also recorded on the internet collection page, so that all this information remains together and the integrity of the collection is assured. These bones then can be used to try to reconstruct, to get back at what the site looked like and what kinds of information the bones contain about the history of the animal. For example, we have recovered a vertebra that you can see here that has been crushed by the bite of another large animal, a theropod, some kind of a dinosaur, probably a tyrannosaur dinosaur. And this crushing may have happened while the animal is still alive, so we may indeed be looking at a death bite here. Dr. Lee Spencer is the vertebrate paleontologist responsible for identifying the bones and selecting the sites.
Okay, so we have a big pile of mud that's come out of digging from around the big bones, and we put it in here and we let it soak so that the mud all comes apart. Then we wash it through here, and soon all of the mud will have washed through and the coarser stuff will remain. So we'll just let him work for a minute here, and you'll see how the mud's disappearing. It's washing down through the two screens. Now we have two screens stacked together, a 20 mesh and a 30 mesh. What that means is that there's 20 little wires per inch in the top one and 30 wires per inch in the bottom one. So that catches the in-between sizes. If it's smaller than 30 mesh, we couldn't identify what it was anyway, so we let it go. Now you don't want it to float over the top either, because some of them, if they're hollow bones, like bird bones.
He also has a very great interest in dinosaurs, and in this site in particular. At one time he was the state paleontologist for Utah for the Bureau of Land Management of the U.S. government. And in that role, he was responsible for deciding who could dig up dinosaurs in Utah and who couldn't, and what criteria were used. And he brings all those skills and all that background to our project.
Environmentally, this looks like it was part of a pond or lake or river sediments that got washed in here in a catastrophic action. The unit that's about 3.5 feet that contain all of these bones are jumbled up. The bones are in there at odd angles. They're not just laying flat. So that tells you that the bones all came in at once. In addition, the long bones tend to be oriented in a particular directions, which tells us that there was a current, a preferred current orientation as the layer was formed. The site serves as an excellent place for research and education combined. Each year, Southwestern Adventist University brings out a number of students from different categories. We have teachers who are here for continuing education units.
I teach school in Burleson, Texas. I have been out here on our Dinosaur Dig. This is my 3rd year. Enjoyed every minute of it. Basically, when I come out here, it's using the big shovel to move the most of the dirt. And then when I run out of something like that, then I have to sit down and start digging and preparing the bones. It's a most interesting program that you have here on the Hanson Ranch. This morning I was digging with the shovel, located a bone, which don't know exactly what it is, probably a skull. But I've been sitting here playing with it, trying to piece it together just like a puzzle. And it appears this one fits right in there when I clean it out a little more and be able to glue it into place. So look underneath there, you can see I've got more fragments I'm uncovering at the same time.
As a teacher, being able to come out on the Hanson Research Station and dig up dinosaur bones has been able to help me in my classroom. I've been able to help the students see some of the history in the earth. As we study the rocks and minerals, we can go down and see the different types of animals that were alive in the past. I'm able to show them the dinosaur bones, look at casts and things that we've been able to make, lots of diagrams, and we're able to study the geologic time period using this information. This has taught me a lot that I can teach them so that they have a better understanding of the earth and everything around them.
We have undergraduate students taking this for their science requirements.
Well, you're digging along, and with your little dentist pick, and you hear a scrape. And it could be anything. It could be a little tendon, it could be a big, huge femur, or it could be a rock, and you don't know. And so when you hear that scrape, you start going real slow, and you just pop little pieces of dirt out of the way, and you go for your paintbrush and you gently sweep it away, and you go around it and you work up to it very gently, and you don't know what it is. And that's the exciting aspect of it, because you've just got this mound of dirt and there could be anything in there, and you remove the dirt and there are bones. It's really neat to have been sitting on a certain part of ground, and then the next day you start removing the dirt from that, and you find you've been sitting on this great, awesome bone.
We are here in a quarry which is one of the richest dinosaur bone beds in the world. And one of the goals of Earth History Research Center is to expand this project into numerous venues of education. We now offer 4 science hours of undergraduate credit. We also offer graduate credit and professional development opportunities for educators in private and public education. We accept new participants into our dinosaur excavation project each year. If you're interested in participating, please contact Dr. Art Chadwick at Southwestern Adventist University or Julie Roberts at Earth History Research Center.
Dr. Chadwick and Dr. Spencer, Dr. Turner, they're such great guys. They're all so easygoing, and they really make it a lot of fun to be out here. At the same time, they're all excellent scientists and we do good work. So we get the best of both worlds. It's a great experience to come out here.